What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Sleuth Intuition channel. Another episode of a Coffee Talk. Usually, when you see these types of live streams pop up from me, trying to kill some time, trying to get my coffee in. And it's no different with today. I got a huge appointment that I'm going to with my old lady. So, like I said, I might have some really good news. We just don't want to present that news publicly. And you guys know you're important to me. So, definitely when I can share it, I will share it with you guys first. But anyway, how are you guys doing? Good morning. Right field, good morning to you. Joe Newman, hello. Christine, good morning. She Warrior listening from work. Hope everybody's having a great morning. I'm doing well. I hope you're well. Joe Sleuth, you see the new filings in the Delphi case? No. No. Tell me about that. Tease. That's me, big O tease. And it may not be a tease. I may have something solid for you guys later today. Julianne, what's up? So, how's everybody doing? During these discussions, we can talk about anything. I know there's a lot of you that might be wanting to talk about the inauguration, whether you support Trump or if you don't, you guys are allowed to express those opinions here as well. Especially during coffee talk, we can talk about anything. Also, oh, that's what I was doing. I was like, I forgot to do something. I couldn't figure it out. I'm such a pothead. Short-term memory. If you want to call in, you can. So I'm going to open up the lines on these coffee talk live streams. Go ahead and share that. All right. Hey, Patty. Good morning. Fingers crossed. I don't know. Never know. We'll find out soon, Danny. You know, we've been very patient. We've had a lot of heartache over the last 2 years with our efforts. So I'm hoping we have good news. Defense attorneys want conviction overturned. 24-page document features Ron Logan. Oh, shit. Do you have access to those documents, Joe? If anybody wants to call in, there's the link. It's pinned over there in the chat. JR Girl 22, we survived the last 4 years. I feel hope again. Yeah, barely, right? Let me go ahead and pull up the Indiana My Case. Wait, it's all over the news? Oh, shit. I don't know. I woke up this morning. It was, for some reason, Sebastian Rogers was on my mind. Like, I woke up and I was thinking about him. Last time that happened, they found Madeline Soto's body. This has happened to me a few times with cases that we've covered, where I woke up thinking about them and then they found them either that day or the following day. It's fucking weird. All right, let's see what's going on with the Delphi murders here. That's kind of big. That's big news. Richard Allen's attorneys cite alleged errors in Delphi murders case and push to overturn convictions. All right. We'll play that. And then I'll pull up the My Case file. Okay, let's see what's going on here.
New this morning, attorneys for the man convicted of murdering 2 teenagers in Delphi say there are at least 4 big mistakes Mistakes made in
Thanks,
this
Joe.
case that they say should be enough to overturn his conviction.
Yeah, overnight, our Search and Investigates team
Texas
got a
Ranger.
copy of the information that was filed late last night. So Richard Allen is currently in prison, convicted of killing Libby German and Abby Williams nearly 8 years ago. Last night, his attorneys filed a motion to correct these so-called errors.
They say those errors, which include newly discovered evidence about detailed confessions supposedly made by another person.
Keegan Klein.
Confession, they say, that fits with new testimony at trial about how the girls died. The defense also says Allen was moved to a state prison for safekeeping with.
Oh no, the newly discovered evidence related to another person's detailed confession. I think that has to do with Ron Logan. So this must be Barbara McDonald pushing her product. Remember, she was the one that she did great work. Like her investigative journalism surrounding Ron Logan was incredible. Like the digging that she did was impressive. Um, but when you do such good work and you work hard, it's hard to just accept failure, right? Like, hey, I was barking up the wrong tree. Maybe, maybe not.
Out attorneys on his side with and without a hearing.
So the defense also says that the state allowed false evidence related to a white van that investigators say drove by while Allen was committing the crime. And the last issue is newly discovered evidence related to cell phone forensics.
Now, the defense does say because of.
Well, kind of, JR girl. According to Barbara McDonald, she interviewed somebody that was locked up, a convicted murderer that was locked up with Ron Logan. This convicted murderer told Barbara McDonald that Ron Logan was on the ground of his cell, which to me is something you would never do in jail, right? That's the quickest way to get your ass shanked or to get beat up in jail, right? Well, according to this guy, Ron Logan was laying on the floor naked, touching himself and kind of talking about Abby and Libby.
All of these issues, Allen's conviction should be overturned, or at the very least, he should get a new hearing. And we'll also be watching today, expecting a formal notice that Allen's plans for an appeal of his conviction.
Crazy. So maybe we can find more about that. Does anybody know where we can find those documents? I'm going to pull up the My Case and see if there's anything in there. Texas Ranger says, wasn't there a guy that confessed but had mental issues? No, I think you're thinking about JP. He never confessed. He just admitted to being at the trails. He was one of the people that was unidentified by law enforcement, and we were able to uncover the fact that he was there that day around the time of the murders. So, and I don't know if he had mental issues. He's a drug addict, so I'm sure he does have some mental issues, but he claimed to be at the trails like sometime around 3, and that he saw 2 girls and that he didn't want to be a creep. So then he decided to leave. And he has a connection to Keegan Klein. So it's kind of interesting, but we tipped him in. He was interviewed. He was polygraphed. Not sure why they took his DNA and his hair. Elvis didn't confess. He said, if I did something on a bridge, something, here's my blue jacket. Take this, or something along those lines. Is what he told his sister. Hey, GP. Oh, that's it, Elvis. Yeah, he didn't confess. He said something weird to his sister about possibly being involved in the crime, and then gave her a jacket. She turned over the jacket and did a polygraph test. And I believe her. I believe he said those things. So who is it? Is it Elvis Fields? Is it Ron Logan? Is it Keegan Klein? Is it all the countless other people? that have confessed. I mean, they didn't all do it together. Good to see you, GP. Yeah, he was talking about Elvis Fields for sure. Right, let's see if there's anything here. Maybe the documents are here. I don't know. I'll check Twitter too. I'm pulling up Richard Allen's case right now. Yep. Motion to correct error filed, but there's no documents here. Hey, what's up, Cindy? Let's go check Twitter. Sometimes you have people who have access to the clerk's office posting things on Twitter quickly. Delphi murders. Oh, here it is. Well, this is just, let's see, comes now the defendant Richard Allen by counsel and files his verified motion to correct errors for the reasons that follow. The court should either vacate Mr. Allen's convictions and or set the matter set out below for hearing. That's it. So they have the documents and they're not even sharing them. It's fucked up. Cindy, watched the Richard Allen timeline show after work last night. Almost finished. So good sleep. Thank you. I appreciate that. Cindy, top of the morning. Julia, how are you? Apparently, there were some documents filed in the Delphi case. So as soon as I get my hands on those, we'll talk about it. Is that normal process when filing for the appeal? It's kind of like a different tactic. It's different than an appeal. I think an overturning is different. So they would overturn, he would remain in prison, and then they would set a new trial date. I could be wrong. Oh, here it is. Defense Diaries posted it 5 minutes ago. Thanks, Bob. He must have been listening. He literally just posted it. Is that it? All right, guys, I got it. Let me put it up on the screen. Thanks, Bob Mata. So this is the front page that we just read that we found on Twitter. Here's the rest of it, thanks to the Defense Diaries posting it. SOS, my Lyft driver is trying to get me to join an MLM. What's an MLM? Let's see here. Motion to correct error. In violation of the 6th and 14th Amendments, Mr. Allen was deprived of counsel at the safekeeping proceeding of November 3rd, 2022. That proceeding was a critical stage at which Mr. Allen was entitled to be represented by counsel. And under United States versus Chronic, damn, and its progeny, the court must presume Mr. Allen was prejudiced by being unrepresented during that proceeding. Didn't they argue about that during the actual leading up to the trial? That's Richard Allen's fault, right? He's the one that said, "Hey, I'm going to go ahead and get my own lawyer." And then he came forward and said, "Hey, I need you guys to give me a lawyer." So first they're going to have to say something bad happened because of this, right? And there's no way they're going to admit to that. Don't worry, I'm going to read it out loud. Okay, transfer for personal safety or safety of others. Upon motion by the sheriff, prosecuting attorney, defendant or his counsel, attorney general, or the court, alleging that an inmate in a county jail awaiting trial is in danger of serious bodily injury or death or represents a substantial threat to the safety of others. The court shall determine whether the inmate is in imminent danger of seriously bodily injury or death or represents a substantial threat to the safety of others. Well, yeah, he was definitely a target. And most importantly, he would have tried to hurt himself. So I don't see why they're going to have trouble proving that it wasn't appropriate. But it sounds like the argument wasn't whether it was appropriate or not. It was that he didn't have counsel. If the court finds that the inmate is in danger of serious bodily injury or death or represents a substantial threat to the safety of others, it shall order the sheriff to transfer the inmate to another county jail or to a facility of the Department of Corrections designated by the commissioner of the department as suitable for the confinement of that prisoner and provide that space is available. For the purpose of this chapter, an inmate is not considered in danger of seriously bodily injury or death due to an illness or other medical conditions. Multi-level marketing. Yeah, don't be sending me emails about joining some business opportunity. Try to get us to join your new pyramid scheme. If that was a big deal or wrong, they would have fought that from the start. Well, they kind of did. I mean, that's been their biggest argument. That's part of the conspiracy theory, Cindy. They're saying that the reason that they put forth the safekeeping order was to get him over to Westville and to begin traumatizing him and torturing him, and then that will lead to the confessions that ultimately happened. So they're saying it was all by design. But the truth is, if they didn't do that safekeeping order, I think there's a good chance Richard Allen wouldn't even be alive. I think he would have taken his own life before somebody else hurt him. Hey, welcome in, Frank. Literally digging for loopholes to slither their way into an appeal. No surprise there. This was to be expected. It's all a game. Yeah. And while they're playing their games, we're able to gather any information that we think is helpful to us, right? Mr. Allen was interrogated and arrested on October 26, 2022, and booked into the Carroll County Jail under a pseudonym. The next day, October 27th, 2022, Kathy Allen, Mr. Allen's wife, hired an attorney, Brett Gibson, to represent Mr. Allen. Exhibit 1, Affidavit of Kathy Allen. In the evening of October 27th, Mr. Gibson sent a letter by email to the Carroll County Sheriff's Office and to Nicholas McClelland, the Carroll County prosecutor. What emerges from defendants exhibits 1C and 1D is the following. Sheriff Lesenby confirmed receipt of Mr. Gibson's letter by telephone the evening of the October 27th. Also on October 27th, however, over the telephone, somebody at the Carroll County Jail told Mr. Gibson that Mr. Allen was not an inmate. Mr. Gibson then contacted Mr. McClelland by email, after which Mr. McClelland called Mr. Gibson on his cell phone. Mr. McClelland told Mr. Gibson that Mr. Allen was listed at the jail under a different name, an alias, but arranged for Mr. Gibson to meet with Mr. Allen. Mr. Gibson went to the Carroll County Jail, where somebody from the sheriff's office took Mr. Gibson to a meeting room. It appeared to Mr. Gibson the regular jail staff did not know Mr. Allen was there, which is good, right? They're obviously trying to protect him. Still, on the evening of October 27th, Mr. Gibson met with Mr. Allen and advised him not to discuss his case over the telephone because calls would certainly be recorded. At about 10 p.m. on October 27th, 2022, Mr. Gibson called Miss Allen to say he would not be able to get Mr. Allen out of jail because he was going to be charged with 2 counts of murder the next day, which means that there would be no bond. Yep, if they didn't put him in protective custody, would have hit the fan. Yep. I thought holding him in a prison before conviction would have violated his rights, but guess not. Well, it depends. They're saying it didn't violate his rights because it was under a safekeeping order. Hey, Coach Kev, what's up? So this means no Odinus now. Need a scorecard to keep up with all these others. Yeah, and I don't understand why they didn't go after Brad Weber. He kind of fits into the timeline, but they didn't want to accept that timeline. You know, they didn't want to accept the prosecution's timeline. I think it would have been more strategic to accept it and put somebody else in there. What's up, CJK? Looks like it. Let's see. This is all the safekeeping stuff. Mr. Allen's letter was considered filed with the court. This is all stuff we already know. Mr. Allen had the right to have a judge other than Judge Diener decide whether to issue a safekeeping order at Lesenby's request. I don't know. They might have something here, but it doesn't look like it. They're just stretching this out. It's just all the same shit. Mr. Allen had no opportunity to exercise his right to refuse the transfer. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, this is just a bunch of bullshit. Okay, let's see what this was. Mr. Allen said he was on the south side of Deer Creek and was planning on sexually assaulting LG and AW when he was interrupted by a van. Dr. Wallace said Mr. Allen said he became scared when he saw the van across Deer Creek from south to north from the Weber property to Ron Logan's property, taking LG and AW with him. The state also introduced the testimony of Brad Weber that he left work at the Subaru factory in Lafayette, Indiana at 2:02 p.m. on February 13th, 2017, and arrived home in his white cargo van at about 2:30 p.m. From Mr. Weber's testimony, the state argued Mr. Weber's arrival home in his van was what interrupted Mr. Allen, causing him to take LG and AW across Deer Creek to kill them on Ron Logan's property. The arrival of Mr. Weber's van at about 2:30 was a detail only the killer would know, said the state. All right, Coach Kev, it's good to see you. Julie, I always wondered if defense ever considered going after the McCains. I don't know. I mean, they definitely had more options than the fucking Odinism. Like, geez. The problem is they went all in. Like, the leak was all about the Odinism. They did that to promote that. Everything they did, the Frank's memo, everything was to promote that. It just didn't, it never grew legs. But the problem is the state also contended that LG and AW died near in time to the 2:32 p.m. when Apple Health data from LG's phone showed that the phone stopped moving. Oh, I thought it didn't stop moving. See, they want everything. They want their cake and they want to eat it too. If the arrival of Mr. Weber in his van interrupted Mr. Allen, forcing him across Deer Creek, Weber would have had to arrive near his parents' house at the end of the private drive before 2:32 p.m. when, according to the state, the phone stopped moving and was located on the north side of Deer Creek. See, they're flipping it. They're like, okay, now we're conceding the phone never moved. Okay, so that throws out their whole they were taken and brought back because nobody's going to attack the girls there, drop the phone never moves, and then they're going to bring them back and dump them right where they committed the original kidnapping. Good luck with that approach. In fact, Mr. Weber could not have arrived anywhere on the private drive before 2:44:54 p.m. on February 13th, 2017. His arrival at about 2:30 could not have been a detail only the killer would know because it did not happen. So it looks like they're reaching again, right? The state knew or should have known as much, and the state either elicited Mr. Weber's testimony about the time. Okay, here's more of the corruption bullshit. Yeah, this is nothing. Maybe there's something better down here. Here, let's go here. This looks interesting. The security camera faced west, northwest. How did the security camera face northwest? That's impossible and appears to have recorded continuously. The camera is on the south side of the building. So if it was facing north, it would be facing at itself. So that's fucking stupid. Appears that the security camera was set to record date and time information as part of the recording. The time of the security camera was set 12 hours behind, such as 12 a.m. is really 12 p.m. on the same day. This is apparent due to the daylight and moonlight on the video, the associated time stamps. The security camera had a wide angle lens that captured video of traffic. Oh, they're not talking about the Hoosier Harvest Store video. I think they're talking about something else. The beginning of the private drive to Weber property, which begins as a continuation of North 625 West, approximately 190 feet north of the road's intersection. So they're using all this shit from from online. Like, are you guys gonna, as a defense team, gonna find anything on your own? Are you gonna find anything worth its weight in gold? Like, what the fuck? All they have is the shit that's been pumped out by online sleuths from the beginning. It's ridiculous. Like, find something real. According to the time and date stamps of the security camera recording, Exhibit 3A, I might even have that. Let me see. Maybe not. I did. I deleted a bunch of shit. Exhibit 3B. Oh, it says there's a link here. Let's see what this is. Oh, this is a YouTube video. Oh, this is Michael Osbrook. So this looks like a home security footage. Okay, so this is new. I don't think you can't see anything. Here, let me see if there's anything significant on here. So I think they're just trying to say that this camera footage is proof that nobody went up the private drive. There's nothing really even here. Good luck with that. That's a stretch. All right, let's put this back up. Here's another video. See what this one is. This is another one from Michael Osbrook. So apparently he has his channel. It says it's unlisted. Okay, so there's some traffic. Okay, that looks like a van. Let's go to this. This one actually has something that's zoomed in. So now if you look at the bottom left corner, there appears to be a van. And the timestamp up here is 2:44. But they've already admitted that the timestamp is incorrect, so good luck with that. Yep, there's the van right there. And they have it timestamped at 2:44. If they can prove that that's the private drive, then there you have it. So it could also mean that they had their timeline off by what? 15 minutes? So Richard Allen kidnaps the girls. So he kidnaps the girls at 2:15, takes them down the hill into that position, so that would be 2:20. Forces them to take off their clothes, 2:25. Who knows what he does with them? That's 2:30. So he's probably fighting with them, arguing with them, convincing them to do what he tells them. So by the time you kidnap two girls, have them both completely undress, is it 2:44? And that's only assuming that this timestamp is even correct. But I mean, you can clearly see a van, and if they can prove that that's a private drive, so yeah, you're going to have to first prove that the timestamp is accurate, which they've already said there's issues. So I mean, there's no way to prove that. But that is a good piece of information right there. The only thing is there's just so many like loose ends. All right, since I only have a few more minutes. So it says here, in all three zoomed clips of Exhibit 3B, a white cargo van going north on North 625 West just after 2:44 p.m. on February 13th. Okay. So, I mean, that's important because once again, Richard Allen was the only one that really knew about that van on the private drive. And his defense team even said that they needed social media experts to figure that all out, and that they found 28 different discussion threads about a white van. But we all know which white van they're referring to. There was white van caught on security footage from the Packers plant, heading kind of towards the private drive. But it was more of like a, it wasn't an Econoline van. It was like a work van, like an Amazon type van. With still photographs taken from Exhibit 3B at each magnification level. For each magnification level. See, the problem with Richard Allen's defense and people who are supporting him, sometimes they're presenting evidence and they don't realize how damaging it is for Richard Allen. They think that by putting a little bit of a spin on it, that we're just going to be completely sold, but we're not. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Sorry. Grew spider legs with them. Grew wings, bat wings. Hey, what's up, Dan? Weber took a lie detector. He was really the first one that was under the microscope. Yeah, they're not looking good. Let's see what else they got here. So they got some close-ups of the video with the van. So their argument is the van showed up at 2:44, not 2:30. Well, good luck proving that. Four has been in state's possession. The photograph of Mr. Weber's white cargo van in Exhibit 3D appears to be at least similar to the white cargo van as it appears in Exhibits 3B and 3Z, zoomed video clips and zoomed still photographs created from Exhibit 3A, the original security footage. Okay, so they have security footage that's timestamped at 2:44. The argument is going to be, is that accurate? I don't know. Okay, so if we don't know, there's nothing we can do about it. All you're doing is showing me a video right around the time that Richard Allen says he saw a white van. Like, don't you realize, Osbrook, how that's hurting Richard Allen? You're basically verifying, in fact, we now have video footage of the van that spooked Richard Allen. Jesus. Let's see what else they got. The FBI subject information sheet from Mr. Weber says on 2/13/2017, Weber's phone pings to parents' address overlooking crime scene initially at 2:50 p.m. and repeatedly pings around the property until 11:55 p.m. That Mr. Weber's phone first pings to his parents' address at 2:50 p.m. on February 13th, 2017 is consistent with the video evidence in Exhibits 3A, 3B, and 3C, showing that Mr. Weber could not have arrived home. Okay, let me ask, how does this make sense? So if he's down the private drive at 2:44, shouldn't his phone be pinging much earlier than 2:50 by a few minutes? From both Exhibits 3A, the security camera video recording, and Exhibit 3E, the FBI subject information sheet for Mr. Weber, the state either knew that Mr. Weber's testimony about the time of his arrival home would be false before it was elicited, or failed to correct it once it had been elicited. Yeah, that does look like the private drive. So you have a van driving on the private drive at 2:44. That doesn't help Richard Allen. Remember, he's the one that said he was interrupted by a white van. He never said what time. Right, GP? What's going on, Don? See what else they got here. So they give you these little pieces of information and then they just stretch it, like it's something crazy. They put that spin on it. Here we go. Number 2, Ron Logan's confession to Richie Davis. See, I was right. Richie Davis is a convicted murderer. Why would we listen to him? Before May 15, 2017 is newly discovered evidence entitled Mr. Allen to a New Trial. This is not new evidence. This was tipped in years ago by Barbara McDonald. Dr. Kaur was the forensic pathologist who conducted the autopsies of LG and AW. His original opinion held for years about how, and you can't believe anything that these guys write. They're just not honest people. Died was that 2 weapons were used. One a serrated blade and the other a straight-edged blade. So this tells me a story of two killers, right? Which leads more towards the whole Keegan Kline thing. Remember, he confessed also. For the first time at trial, having had a eureka moment at his tool bench, Dr. Kaur opened that the girls could have been killed by a single box cutter rather than 2 different knives. Exactly. That's not a lie. The dude testified to that under oath. So is he lying, or? Defendant's Exhibit 4A, as attested to by Matthew Hoffman in Defendant's Exhibit 4, is a redacted copy of a tip from the Orion database of tips dated May 15th, 2017. In that tip, which the state has always had, Ron Logan is alleged to have confessed to Richie Davis sometime before May 15th, 2017, while they were in prison together. He had killed LG and AW. The material part of Ron Logan's confession to Richie Davis is as it appears in Exhibit 4A. Logan confessed to Richie step by step of killing the 2 girls. Logan told Richie how he burned his clothes in a fire pit and where it was located, used box cutters and struggled with one of the girls, and thought drops of blood from his nose ended up on her clothes. Richie also advised that he killed the other girl first. Mr. Allen also said that he shot the girls in the back. Mr. Allen also said that he shot the girls in the back and buried them in a shallow grave. Neither of the girls were shot in the back, and neither was buried in a shallow grave. Ron Logan's confession to Richie Davis, as reflected in the tip in the Orion database and made a mere 3 months after the girls were killed, was detailed. Law enforcement followed up on the tip, Defendant's Exhibit 4B, as attested to by Matthew Hoffman in Exhibit 4, accurately reproduces the handwritten notes taken by Indiana State Police First Sergeant Hansard about his interview with Richie Davis on June 21st, 2017, at the Newcastle Correctional Facility. Now, remember, Ron Logan could have done this, but I don't think he could have done it alone because we know he was gone by 2:09. He was gone. His phone was pinging on the road going towards the highway right there, kind of near the CPS building. His phone pinged right at 2:09. So he's leaving. He's in Lafayette at a certain amount of time, spent a certain amount of time there. So either he's the mastermind, but he has an alibi. Could he have kidnapped the girls? I think it's very possible, but he definitely didn't take them down the hill and he took them away quickly or helped somebody place them somewhere until later. Because, I mean, his timeline is well documented. So if he had anything to do with that, and we don't know for a fact, we just know what the evidence tells us, that it's virtually impossible for Ron Logan to have committed these murders without help. First Sergeant, well, let me see here. The correctional facility regarding Ron Logan's confession to Richie Davis, those handwritten notes of First Sergeant. And I guess my only question on that would be, what did Richie Davis, what did he want? What did he want in return? Hard as they are to decipher and subject to debate and correction, those notes reveal the following about Ron Logan's confession to Richie Davis. They're hard to read. Turn around. Here, okay, they've kind of broken it down a little bit. The private drive is heavily wooded. That looks like county road. Well, there's actually, right before you get into the private drive, Don, there's homes, there's mailboxes, and there's a huge, looks like maybe a cornfield. That looks like the cornfield. Right before you get into the private drive, there's a huge field, and I think that's what it is. Especially if they say they're facing northwest. Exactly, CJK. But it is interesting if Ron Logan mentioned a box cutter. I mean, you can't ignore that. But yes, that is an important fact. Ron Logan was looked at thoroughly by law enforcement. At one point, the FBI was convinced it was him. They served a search warrant, didn't find anything. Okay, it seems to say walking, talking about knowing one of their dads, to walk with them. One of them wanted to turn around, grabbed youngest's shoulder. It's okay. Oldest freaked out. One said something about calling the police. Sexual attack wasn't true. Originally not trying to go rape them. Paranoid about probation. Felt like he crossed a line when he grabbed the youngest one. It seems to say he started talking. Ironic, should have been in school. Knew one of their moms, waitress at a bar. Animals walked with them, willing to go check out horses. He told them he had rabbits in the barn. Walk through trail in the woods. Oldest paranoid, didn't want to go. Youngest wanted to see horses. Next one seems to say oldest turned to help youngest. Oldest started looking, kicking. Youngest seemed he now grabs oldest. He said he got hit on the nose, scared he got blood on one of the girls, pulled box cutter out, slit oldest one, hit an artery. Youngest scared, etc. Took little girl with him for a while. Never said where he said he cut her to cut both necks. So that kind of fits. That kind of fits with what appears to have happened, which is very interesting, right? One of them was cut there, but why was she naked? He doesn't talk about undressing her, so that doesn't fit. You know, he never talks about taking off Libby's clothing. But the box cutter stuff, that's huge. That is huge. And if he took the youngest one, that would explain why she was redressed. But also, we have to keep in mind that Ron Logan may have had prior knowledge. You know, it happened on his land. He would know where to go check. So it's possible he went out and found the girls. And for whatever reason, he's making up stories in prison. But you can't ignore the box cutter stuff. That shit is huge, guys. Yep, the defense should have went the Ron Logan route. The only problem is he has this alibi. Like he's saying all these things that he's doing, they're impossible. They have his phone, they have it pinging, they have him in Lafayette. This is just not possible for him to do these things. So it's going to be an uphill battle trying to prove it. His whole timeline is completely documented. They have his phone pinging all the way to Lafayette. They have him showing up to Lafayette. They have an interview with the guy that worked at Lafayette, said that Ron Logan hung around for like almost an hour, bought all kinds of fish, like $100 or something worth of fish. Hey, what's up, Jay Ray? Well, we were just having a random conversation, and there was some breaking information relating to the Delphi murders. So we're reading the documents, or going through the documents briefly, that were filed by the defense team. He says he left again and came back later in the evening. Search going on. Later on, late hours, tried to move oldest one to area not going to be found. Place where four-wheelers go. Burned his clothes in the burn pile. So nobody saw him burning anything? Hiking, walking boots, gloves, bag. I mean, that's very interesting, but the timing of it all doesn't fit. Seems to say soles of boots in burn pile. Next morning, two other girls knocked on the door, asked to search on property. Feel weird if he said no. He let them take off, got a hold of family member, and go out of the area. Okay, seems to say first time he's seen them from property, home, etc., guns, etc. During struggle, youngest girl not happened to friend to stand there, head, neck, artery. Defendant's Exhibit 4C is a handwritten note signed by Ricky Davis, dated June, the same day First Sergeant Hansard interviewed him. That handwritten note is attached to the same lead narrative summary cover sheet and is contained in the same file as First Sergeant Hansard's handwritten notes that are Exhibit 4B. Richie Davis's handwritten note about Ron Logan's confession to him says, Mr. Logan has made reference to the killing of Delphi, Indiana. He told me he was the one who killed those girls, that it got out of hand. He walked with them in the woods to his property, and the girls wanted to turn back. He said something about he grabbed the youngest girl to reassure her it was okay. However, they panicked, and he also panicked. He indicated he ended up cutting the oldest with a box cutter. He went on telling me that he killed both of them because it was took too far. So the stuff about the box cutters is very alarming. So either he was involved or has intimate knowledge. So in addition to the other details that fit the known facts, Ron Logan confessed to Richie Davis that he used box cutters to kill the girls. If instead of for the first time at Mr. Allen's trial, Mr. Cora said 7 years earlier said the girls could have been killed by a box cutter, there would certainly have been probable cause to arrest and charge Ron Logan with the girls' murders. As it was, the FBI, 2 months before Ron Logan's confession to Richie Davis, had obtained a judicial findings of probable cause to search Ron Logan's property. Under the circumstances, Dr. Kaur's trial testimony about the box cutter possibly being used to murder the girls makes Ron Logan's confession to Richie Davis newly discovered evidence that would either be admissible through Richie Davis. The only thing is that according to Ron Logan's timeline, that wouldn't fit. Guys, we're going to continue this later. We'll do a Delphi live stream and we'll go over these documents in its entirety. We'll read it word for word. But that's my time today. Shout out to all you mods. Thanks for catching the live stream. Unfortunately, I got to get out of here. All of you who donate to the Cash App, thank you, Dawn. I appreciate that. And all of you who continue to donate, become members, you make this possible. So I'll see you guys a little bit later, maybe in about 3 hours. I think it's important that we go over this. So we will go live on this. So take care. See you in a few.